If you've been struggling trying to remember things and you're forgetting all the time, well, here are 10 reasons why you're probably forgetting all the time. So, the very first reason why you are forgetting all the time is one that we think we can do and manage ourselves, which is trying to do everything all at once, thinking that we can multitask and switch from thing to thing and juggle a bunch of things all at once. Well, there has been actually some recent studies that have shown that by multitasking and trying to do too many things at once does slow down your processing speed, meaning your response time, be able to initiate things. But more importantly, when you're constantly trying to multitask, they have found that this has been able to deplete someone's memory. Because when you're trying to juggle multiple things all at once, your chances of remembering certain details is going to diminish over time. So if you're someone that's always constantly trying to bounce between multiple different tasks, stop doing that. Try to actually focus on one thing, and you might find that your memory will improve by just doing that simple thing. Now, the second thing, going a little bit more medical of your hidden reason of why you can't remember, is one of the more vital organs that really does help a lot with our cells, our energy, the way that we can also focus, and that has to do with the thyroid. Now, you might think, oh, I've tested for my thyroid, I'm good. But here's the thing, the thyroid hormone can be made in multiple parts of the organ. It isn't just the thyroid or checking your thyroid stimulating hormone, which is in the brain, but it also could be your peripheral organs that do create thyroid hormones. I'm talking about the liver, which does convert a lot of our thyroid, also our heart, as well as other interstitial tissues. And so if those aren't working optimally, the thyroid hormones are going to suffer. And if your thyroid hormones aren't functioning well, guess what? One of the big symptoms with that is memory loss and forgetting, as well as having low energy. So definitely it's something to definitely look into as a possibility of what is a hidden reason of why you're forgetting all the time. Along those same lines, there is other hormones. So the third thing that could be a hidden reason of why you're forgetting all the time is your other hormones that could play in a role, whether this might be low testosterone, estradiol, or also low progesterone, or even DHEA. Any of these can contribute for sure of symptoms of memory issues and forgetting all the time. And so if those are out of balance, it's good to check those to make sure those are not contributing to your situation. The fourth one has a lot to do with what we can really do with what we do eat on a day-to-day basis. And one of the biggest culprits that can contribute to memory loss and forgetting all the time has to do with sugar. Now, hear me out. Sugar can definitely cause inflammation throughout the body, and it can cause inflammation to the brain. But what they have found is when there is spikes of blood sugar levels consistently, can cause cell damage, but also can cause shrinkage to the brain. It can even cause restriction to blood vessels to the brain. So there's definitely been a lot of studies on this, especially for those who have diabetes. They definitely have to be careful about this. There's always common symptoms of people having diabetes and also having memory issues, especially where they are more prone to having Alzheimer's disease, which ultimately is going to be the extreme case of someone who's going to be losing not only their short-term memory, but also their long-term memory over time. The fifth hidden reason of why you can't remember all the time has to do with a very nasty thing that can happen, and that is getting bitten by a tick, and as you know, can cause sometimes to Lyme disease. Now, sometimes these are undetected for many, many years, and you have no idea that you do have it. But what Lyme disease does, it does attack the neurological system, and it can contribute to also memory loss as well and forgetting things. So that might be something to look into if you possibly have Lyme disease. It sometimes can be very severe. Obviously, when it's a severe case, it's pretty obvious. But when it's undetected and it's just minor symptoms, it's something good to test for just to rule it out. The sixth hidden reason has a lot to do with what the brain does require. Now, the brain requires oxygen, just like all our other organs, but also requires blood flow and circulation to the brain. And so if you have any kind of cardiovascular issues or a lung disease, or you're just having a little bit more difficulty breathing, if you have asthma, or even you just have maybe a heart palpitation or arrhythmia, any of those things can contribute to memory issues as well. And if you have not been treating that or gone in and seen your doctor to check up on that, that can be contributing to your memory situation as well. Now, if you're having concerns with your focus and your energy and you're forgetting all the time, then you should download my free focus and energy guide in the description below. Now, the seventh one is a pretty obvious one, but I think people just push this off and think, oh, it's not a big deal. And what I'm talking about is sleep. Sleep is such a detriment to someone's memory and why you're forgetting all the time because you're not getting good sleep. When you don't get good sleep, guess what? the brain is not going to work very well and it's going to forget things. So it's really important to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep if you're not doing that. The eighth one, now this is something you should definitely be checking with your doctor consistently, and that has to do with your medications, because there are several different medications that can contribute to memory loss. It can cause things such as like, why am I forgetting all the time? You definitely want to make sure you're double checking with your medications if that is the case. And the ninth one, I feel like this is definitely a very hidden one that people don't even really consider, but it has to do with your hearing. So hear me out. Now, as we get older, our hearing does start to diminish over time. But it has been shown in a lot of research that when people do not start to using like hearing aids to improve their hearing, their neurological development, but also their memory can decline by 19%. And so it's really important to address the hearing situation if you're starting to get diminished hearing as you get older, diminishing your likelihood of getting dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Start using hearing aids. And the 10th reason is more looking at the body internally of really what's going on. And some of the biggest things that I do see as a culprit to why people forget all the time, whether they're young or old, has to do a lot with micronutrient deficiencies, because there's certain micronutrient deficiencies that contribute to these types of symptoms. And some of your biggest ones that you're going to see that do contribute to forgetting all the time is vitamin B6, folate, vitamin B12. All three of those contribute to not only helping with memory, but also help a lot with different neurotransmitters that help with motivation, drive, and focus and memory. So it's really important to make sure that you're not deficient in those areas. Another big one is deficiency in iron. Now, remember how I said the brain is so important when it needs oxygen and blood flow to the brain and nutrients to the brain? Well, iron helps carry all of those nutrients and oxygens to the brain. If you're deficient in it, you're going to have symptoms of memory issues and forgetting all the time. So make sure that your iron levels are adequate. And another common one that we do see when you're deficient in this, in fact, you're more prone to dementia, it's a very higher risk, is vitamin D3 levels. So if you're low in vitamin D3, that can contribute to over time, if you don't take care of it, to lead to dementia. And then two other really big ones that I do see as a constant culprit to someone's issue of forgetting all the time is serine as well as choline levels. Both of those being low have not only been shown signs of like contributing to Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease, but also for people who do forget all the time. So definitely checking those levels will help you determine if that is the case of your memory issue. But to truly really understand why you are forgetting all the time and why you're having focus issues is you should watch this video next, where I dive in deep about my 3-step system, explaining why you have these ADHD symptoms you're experiencing, these memory issues, and how to eliminate those symptoms. So watch this video next.